Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Beaten Path. Today, we're headed down to Kenosha, Wisconsin to visit Undigital Drums. If you've followed the series for some time, you may remember previous guest Tim Baltus, also known as Timbo from Keno. Timbo's friends, Dennis Garretts and Tim Ferritt, launched Undigital Drums in 2023, which is a small independent drum shop specializing in new and vintage Ludwig drums, along with cymbals, hardware, and all sorts of other percussion products ready to pick up in store or to ship directly to your door. The three of them bring decades of industry experience, with owner Dennis working directly with brands like Ludwig and Zildjian, Tim's 20-year tenure in music retail, and Timbo's expertise with marketing, social media, and brand development. In a world where it's becoming more challenging to find shops like this, I was very excited to see something like this come back to Wisconsin, and I couldn't wait to come down and check it out for myself and to highlight on the series. Before we get into the video, I want to remind you that I'm creating new episodes in this series each month, along with other weekly videos on YouTube, so please consider subscribing to this channel to stay up to date on all of my future video releases. And without any further ado, let's take a look inside Undigital Drums. So to start things off, why don't you just give me a little bit of the history of your background within music retail and the music industry as a whole?
Sure. So I started in a shop in 1987 in Appleton, Wisconsin called Drum Design. It was a great shop. I spent 2 years there, and the owner decided to move to Florida, so he packed up and left down for Florida. And at that point, I ended up making my way out to the East Coast and working for a store called Chuck Levin's. And I spent 9 years at Chuck Levin's before moving back to the Midwest. I wanted to be closer to my parents, so I took a job working for a rep firm that had Remo at the time. And that eventually turned into Premier and Aquarian. And I left that firm to go on my own. And so I was working with Premier and Aquarian and UFIP and did that for a while. Then that changed into Ludwig and Zildjian and Aquarian. And I spent 17 years working for all three of those companies.
And then obviously your next step was to open this shop, but after being on the road and working in the industry so long, I imagine you saw a bunch of interesting places that probably seemed more obvious. What made you settle on a place like Kenosha?
So during my time working for the companies, I dealt with a gentleman named Tim Ferritt, who's an incredibly talented drum guy. I dealt with him for 17 years, and I've always had this thought of doing a shop and who I might want to partner with if that was to happen. And Tim and I came up with this plan. He lives here in Kenosha. It made sense because we were in between two major cities of Chicago and Milwaukee, so there's a lot of drummers within this area that can come and take advantage of this.
Yeah, and I imagine at the same time in today's world too, the internet is such a powerful tool for any store. So even though you're in a place that might be convenient for just a smaller radius around the Midwest, you still have the ability to ship all across the country and work with drummers from anywhere.
Absolutely.
So Tim, Dennis kind of gave us a background of how the two of you met and connected and your desire to work together for a long time. But could you give me a brief backstory on your life within music?
Oh yeah. So my life in music started in 5th grade, playing the trombone. And that was concert band, marching band, and the band director we had at the time played drums himself, had a kit set up in the back, and when we'd take a break, I would go back there and play the drum kit, and he was very cool with letting us do that, and that really got me into wanting to do drums. Then in 1996, I'm 16 years old, started working at a local store in the drum shop. I worked there till 2020, and yeah, I've been doing drums a long time, and playing in bands all through that, yeah.
As I look around, the first thing I notice is there is a lot of Ludwig drums here.
I've been playing Ludwig pretty much my whole time, gigging and all that. And we thought, we'll start with the iconic brand. So that's the first new line of drums that we're carrying.
You kind of hit the nail on the head. There are amazing drum brands from all around the world and iconic brands, but I don't know if any other kind of has the history of Ludwig.
They really do. We have, the combo side of things and drum set. I mean, they obviously make timpanis and, you know, marching percussion and all that too. So yeah, they really make a full-line drum catalog.
Well, and just here on the wall, I can see you guys have mostly their higher end kits, you know, not the student line or entry level stuff, but there's a wide variety. Plenty of 4-piece kits, plenty of different finishes, different materials with the Vista lights.
Definitely.
And then back behind you, we've got a
yeah.
couple monster double bass kits.
Got a couple big kits here. This one here is brand new. First kit off the line that they're going to be doing a limited edition this year. It was set up at PASIC, and Dennis picked it up from that show. A lot of drums to be carting around, but definitely be seen.
I think another way that independent drum shops can separate themselves from big box retailers or chain music stores is not only what products you carry, but carrying a lot of vintage and used equipment.
Yes, yeah, so we do have some vintage gear too. Rogers, Slingerland, some recording custom drums from Yamaha, even Premier. You know, I don't think they really got a fair shake in the States through the years. Great sounding drums, but from my time doing retail through the years, pretty hard drums to work on for people, hard to get parts. You know, and I don't really want to drill things out if I don't have to. I want to try to keep it in its original state if I can.
Well, and I think today's music is kind of like, a lot of it is a throwback to older genres. There's a lot of music now that has the tones of 70s music or 80s. Like, to buy a new drum set in order to get that sound, why not just go to the source and get what was used back in those days?
Absolutely, yeah. Otherwise you're buying this brand new modern kit that doesn't really have the quirks maybe that some of these older drums had. But yeah, like let's just go right to the source and get that sound from the jump, yeah.
I think another thing that drummers love to collect is snare drums, right? And like we were saying, Ludwig is such an iconic brand that offering their wide variety of snares, you know, it's almost on every record you've ever heard.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, their drums have been mimicked over the years. Quite an array of sizes, shell makeup, wood, metal. Personally, I've been a metal shell guy. I just love the crack of a metal snare drum. But Ludwig really did kind of set the bar from early on how snares should be made and sound.
Wow, that's a nice resonant gong.
Welcome back to the series, Tim.
Well, thank you for having me again. Here we are, back in Kenosha, Wisconsin, at Undigital Drums. This is where they put me. They put baby in a corner, and this is my corner right here. So, this is kind of the recording studio where we're filming different social content. It's also a place where visitors can come and set up a drum kit and try it out. Tons of cymbals behind you, Mike. If you want to take a peek at this is one of my favorite parts of the room. Tons of Zildjian hanging around, and what's special is you never know what you're going to pull out. 25th anniversary of Guitar Drum Off Splash. Here's another thing you've probably never seen. Zildjian pots and pans. I don't know what I'm cooking with this, but it's probably going to taste good. Now this is cool too, is some of the vintage stuff you find. I mean, look at this special selection for Drums Unlimited in Chicago. I mean, just such special stuff here, and it's just sitting in the wall, ready for you to pick out and give a smack. So it's inspiring. All the stuff in the front is inspiring. You have so many drums, new, used, vintage. Cymbals, same thing. Surrounded by super rare pieces, top to bottom. I mean, look at these mod orange congas. Joey Kramer's drums from Aerosmith. And it's just an inspiring place to work and to have fun in. Beyond that, yeah, basically, like I said, the main purpose of this room for me is to record. So we have a full setup here. I've been posting a ton of videos on Instagram, and hopefully you've seen them. And if you haven't, go see me playing blast beats over Metallica or Sweet Caroline. So many classics ruined by yours truly.
In today's world, to be an independent drum shop and be successful, even in a large city like Chicago or Philadelphia or Atlanta or Nashville, whatever, it's a challenge to only appeal to your local market. So you guys being able to record and list things online and give people kind of a personal, you know, preview of the instruments and cymbals you have, that's really important for your success long term.
Oh, it's huge. You know, I think the local part is also huge. All of the stuff is important. Dennis having the connection to Chicago that he does. Tim Ferritt being here, having been a local legend, in my opinion, not only as a drummer, but as a drum retail expert. You know, you have people here who have worked with the local drummers for so long, and even myself, I worked in used music retail through college. So you can come here and you can talk to people who have serviced every drum need that you can imagine. 2 drummers in this area. And then you can go online and have such a bigger market, which is kind of how I built my little career. So yeah, I guess it's the best of both worlds. Speaking of worlds, this is, my dad painted this about 3 years ago. I don't know what drugs he was on, but it looks pretty. And, you know, it's just to say that Undigital Drums, this place is out of this world.
Yeah, and you know, obviously painting the walls or creating a vibe is not making the drums sound better, but I think for me, what I love about going to a drum shop more than just ordering something off a website is the cool vibe and character, the people and the space, and even like the lights in here.
I mean, look,
old Vista Light drums.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the crazy mural, that was here beforehand, and Dennis said we have to keep it. And I totally agree. It's like, whether you're in the front and you're looking at the walls and you see some of the craziest rare drum memorabilia you've ever seen. There's a Slingerland brand ruler. There's a corrugate cardboard cut out from Ludwig for a bass drum with a Joe Morello graphic on it that I had never seen before in my life until I came here. Or you come in here and you just see this crazy mural here. It's, again, yeah, the vibe is everything, and it makes for an experience. The same way that folks go to other drum shops around the country when they're either touring through with their bands or traveling through with their families. You know, this is a place that you can do that too, and maybe not so many people travel from around the world to see Kenosha, but certainly plenty of people are touring through Chicago and Milwaukee, so I hope those drummers come and take advantage of this cool place to hang.
Well, maybe more people should come. Kenosha should be a destination. Also, home of Mars Cheese Castle.
Listen, come for the Cheese Castle, stay for the drums. That's what I always say.
Kind of a utilitarian situation. So yeah, wrenching on stuff. We can take photos back here for getting stuff on our reverb shop. We've got all sorts of Ludwig parts. Dennis has been collecting them for basically his whole life. Yeah, we do a lot of wrenching on things. New and old drums. Doesn't have to be, you know, all sorts of things. It's pretty new that we've set up here, so we haven't really done any mods of any sort yet. You know, but we could get set up to change mounts for people and things like that. But yeah, there's no shortage of parts for sure.
Well, and on top of just having the parts for drums and such, like one thing that's really great about you guys is even though you don't specialize in carrying every stick or heads for people to buy, you still have a selection here so that if people want to put a different set of heads on a kit and see how it might sound with their preferred setup,
yes,
they can.
Yeah, that's the plan. So like just have the basic heads on hand. So, you know, people like, I want to hear a Remo Emperor on that tom. Well, let's change it out and see how that drum head sounds for them. You know, just so they can hear it firsthand. You know, we all wonder what things sound like. So it's like, let's actually make it happen. You know, let's take the time. Like Dennis is always saying, like, let's put a record on, like have the customer put the record on, have them pick it, you know, and make it kind of an experience, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's a step that a lot of, not only websites can't do, but like a lot of music stores won't spend the time to do something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, some of what we discussed is like not doing the normal stuff, which does make its own challenges. Like and I say stuff meaning like we didn't want to do slat wall. We purposely didn't want to just do slat wall all around and gray carpeting and, you know, so it's like, but then that makes the challenges of like, well, how do we display some things? But most of what we have to display, like, I mean, we have buckets of parts, you know, we don't need to, that doesn't need to be on display. There's no cardboard up front, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been fun to get back into it. I was away from the business for a couple years and I'm happy to be back. You know, it's been awesome.
So this kind of serves as like a workstation for modding things or repairs or different things, but then there's also another back room with some of
sure,
kind of the extended inventory, right?
The inner workings of things, yes. Yeah, back here is, shipping and more warehouse, more back stock. A lot of the boxes are what's up front right now. But yeah, this is a very fluid project back here for sure. You know, boxing up orders and things like that. So
Yeah, definitely a work in progress. I know you guys have only been in here for a limited time.
yeah, it's been a pretty short time. So a lot of it was just to get the front room up and running. So back here has been evolving for sure. A lot of room to grow though. You know, get some more shelving up and yeah, just get some more drums, you know.
Well, thank you so much to all three of you for taking the time to show me around today and give us a look behind the curtain here at Undigital Drums. If people want to keep track of what you're up to, what's the best way to follow you?
You can find us on Instagram at Undigital Drums, also undigitaldrums.com, and we have a reverb shop as well.
All right, and if people want to come visit the store in person, how do they arrange that?
We're going to be operating by appointment, so give us a ring, reach out on Instagram, reverb, or send us an email.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.